I'm making this video to go over how I wired up the electronic fans on my 1967 Mustang. So here I have the relay that came with the kit that I bought. And you have 4 wires coming off of it. You had a blue wire, a white wire, a red wire, and a black wire. So with that, the associated relays, you're going to be running the blue 87 wire to the fans themselves. Now mine had dual fans, so I went ahead and tied those two together. That way I was just running one wire to the relay. The 86 terminal there with the white wire, that's actually going to go into the coolant temperature sensor, which I got an aftermarket water neck for the thermostat that it threads into. Then for the 30 terminal there in the bottom with the red wire, that goes to the positive side of the battery, and that should have an inline fuse in it. I think it's 15 amp, if I remember correctly. And then finally the black wire, or the 85 terminal, that I've connected to the negative side of my coil, and I've had no issues in doing that. The black wire did have a random ring terminal about halfway through, so I just cut that off and then resoldered that black wire together. Hopefully this helps. I'll go out to the car and get a little video to show you how it's wired up there as well. So following this guide here that I went ahead and drew up, I'm gonna show you how I've wired up in the actual car itself. So here is the relay in my car, and I mounted it next to my starter solenoid. And it's just what came with my kit off eBay, with the 24-inch fan. 24-inch radiator with dual fans. This has been more than enough for my car. I've had 0 issues from idling for about 10, maybe even 15 minutes, all the way up to driving on the interstate doing 70 miles per hour, 65, 70 miles per hour for about 20 miles or so, and that's probably the longest I've taken it. And the car has never had any overheating issues since then. Yeah, so I'm gonna go over this really quick. So the way that I have it, I have the blue wire that's coming off the relay here. Sorry about that camera angle. And then I just have it wrapped in some sheathing here that I just picked up at the auto parts store. And that is going over to my fans themselves. So since I have dual fans, I tied them in together right here and just zip tied up the blue wires and black wires together, and then ran that single blue wire over into the relay. For the white wire right down here, again, I just ran that into some sheathing, and I just ran that up and over underneath the thermostat, trying to hide it a little bit. Have a pretty black and red engine bay going on, so I didn't really want a white wire to stick out, but didn't really have a good way to hide it. And that just goes into the threaded temp sensor right there in the water neck, which I bought aftermarket. And then it's 185 degrees with a 185 thermostat as well. Moving on to the next wire, we have the black wire. So the black wire is also ran some of that sheathing, and I went ahead and just ran that up and around, kind of following where I ran the white wire behind my water pump, underneath the distributor and everything, and that is just going directly to the negative side of my coil. I've had no issues doing it that way. I know that you're supposed to grab 12-volt switch power, but honestly I did it that way, just kind of testing it out. I wasn't exactly sure where to grab, best place to grab power from, and it's worked. It's had no issues, so I'm just leaving it there. And lastly, we do have the red wire coming off of the relay down here, and this should, and I'd highly recommend it having a inline fuse, because it's going to go directly to the positive side of your battery. I believe this came with a 15 amp. Dang, trying to get this open one hand is, looks like 30 amp. So this came with 30 amp fuse. I don't really know how to tuck that up in there to kind of keep it clean, so it just lives right there. So that's how I wired it up, but I've had no issues at all with my temperature gauge. My temperature gauge is just a standard hot, cold, and I think maybe the hottest it's got after doing all this is the bottom third, maybe. So it does pretty well. And then here's another look at that picture make it as easy as possible so you can screenshot that or do anything you need in order to help you out with wiring up your fans. Alright.